Hey,
Hey there,
hello.
how are you?
Hey, very good. Everything's fine with the audio?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yep, I hear you.
Okay, so we can begin and let's start with the story of the band Iconic, because in a way it's a story of two projects because Joel was part of Nathan's album and he also talked with you about working together on something. So how did this super trio end up deciding working together?
And how did we all decide to work together in terms of the band Iconic?
Yes.
Well, basically, Serafino wanted to put together a band that was very similar to Whitesnake of old, classic Whitesnake. And he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to be a part of it. And I said, yes, of course. And it everything just kind of fell together in terms of players. Of course, we wanted to use Tommy and Marco. It came into the conversation, and Joel Hoaxer was already in the conversation. And then, but he wanted it to be kind of based around Nathan as the vocalist. Kind of since Nathan has very similar style to old Coverdale in terms of range and grit and that soulful style of singing with that classic sound. It just made perfect sense. So I wound up co-producing the first album and co-producing the second album. The first one was with Alessandro. Second one was with Aldo, of course. And we just we all contributed to the writing. When I say all, I mean Joel, myself, Nathan, and Alessandro on the first, and then Aldo on the second. The four of us. And Joel sent me ideas, and I took those and ran with those and started creating arrangements and completing the songs and adding sections that were not there, and finishing the music. And then that got sent to the other guys, and they did the lyrics and the melodies, and we just all remotely tracked ourselves, and that whole thing. And it really worked out well. I think both albums are a little different, but yet very similar. And it's a great follow up album. This new album for sure.
And were you surprised that it was Marco and Tommy who completed the lineup? Because Joel said to me that he expected someone less known than they.
Well, the hard part with that when you get named players, anyone with a name or that's done a lot musically speaking, it's going to cost more. You know, it's just usually how it works. So when you get less known players, as Joel put I think he was probably trying to convey that there might not have been the budget to work with guys like Tommy and Marco and Joel too, and myself as well. I mean, we're at a different caliber in the sense that we've been around for. I mean, I've been doing this for 43 years. Tommy a lot longer. Joel not as long, but still, we've all been doing it for a long time. And with that, sometimes it's hard to not only make the finances work, but also the schedules work. Everybody's in different bands and everybody's busy, and it's very, very hard to make it come together.
And like you said, the first album was very white snakish in nature. So, like you said, it was like from the beginning, it was the idea because Joel said that by his perspective, it was even too much white snake in it.
Well, again, that's what Serafino wanted. Serafino kind of helped put this together and had this idea and this vision for what he wanted. And then he hired all of us to make it happen and deliver the goods. And he specifically used the name Whitesnake quite often. It's basically what everybody's getting. They're getting Whitesnake without, well, for the most part, Whitesnake without David Coverdale. And the songwriting style is kind of like a modern Whitesnake. You know, it's got those flavors of the past, but it also has some new flavors added to make it a little more modern as well.
And how would you compare the second album to the second Skin? How have you evolved musically over the past few years?
I would say I don't know if Joel said this specifically or not, but from what you just said, I think he might have. I would say that this album is a little more of its own signature in terms of we sound like Iconic and maybe a little less like Whitesnake on this album, but not much. There's always going to be similarities because that's what we were going for. And like I said, Nathan has that similarity in his voice, in his delivery. So it's got that natural. You think whenever you hear Iconic, you're gonna think Whitesnake because that's kind of what we're doing.
And Marco told me in 2023 that he hoped it wouldn't end with just one album with Iconic, and now we have the album number two. But why did we have to wait so long for the second one?
Well, you know, that's a great question. From my point of view and my perspective, I think a lot of it was due to the fact that when we first started the album, actually, even before we first started the second album, there was a parting of ways with Frontiers and Alessandro. So, you know, we were talking about getting to work on that second album, and then, you know, things changed and shifted, and we had to kind of figure out through all of that, through the changes, like, okay, what are we doing? When are we doing it? And because of that, schedules didn't permit us to do everything in a timely fashion. And we kind of worked through it. And it just took a long time, man. I know Aldo had some things going on and the label was trying to figure things out. And it just took longer than expected. But that's not always a bad thing. You know, I think with that usually comes the ability to make things better and to build upon that. You know, when you have a little bit more time, you can take your time putting everything together musically and mixing and all that stuff, and it doesn't feel or become rushed. You never want to rush a project of any kind, I don't think. So, you know, there's pros and cons to it. But I'm happy it turned out like it did, and I think it's a great album. Obviously, it remains to be seen what the fans think. We'll have to see what they think. Who knows?
And on the first album, each musician was recorded by a different sound engineer because we had Carlos Flood, Kenny Lewis, Josiah J, Joel Jacks. How did the recording process for two differ from that from the second Skin?
It was pretty much the same, as far as I know. Meaning, Joel sent me guitar riff ideas. I took those and arranged songs. Once I arranged songs, I went in the studio and I tracked my guitars, keeper guitars, to a drum machine that I programmed. Then that got sent to Aldo. Aldo tracked real drums, and then actually it got sent to Aldo, and then he kind of pieced some other things together, and it got sent to Tommy. Tommy tracked his drums at his house. We all tracked remotely, and that's how we did the first album. Nathan, I think, was the only one that worked with Aldo in person. All the other musicians did their own recording in their own studios in their own towns. And you know, I did. That's the way I don't do it any other way. I mean, if someone said to me, "We want you to come to Italy to record for this next album," I'd say, "No, that's not going to happen." I've been doing this for a long time, and I know what I'm doing, and I have a system down that works for me, and that's the way I like to do it. So I work in two different studios here in my area and my home studio as well, and it works really great, man. And you know, Tommy and Marco and Joel, they they got it down too. They do a killer job, and it's amazing how it all comes together, and it actually sounds like a band in one studio, which is very cool.
And the Iconic consists of five musicians, five experienced musicians, but there are also two additional members on the second album. So let's start with Antonio Agate. Why did you choose him instead of working with Alessandro Del Vecchio again?
You referring to Aldo?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aldo. Okay, I thought you said another name. Aldo. It wasn't that we necessarily chose Aldo. It was a situation where Aldo came in to Frontiers and kind of took over where Alessandro left off. So Alessandro was the in-house label producer, and now Aldo is. So that's how that worked out. And Aldo picked up the ball, and we just continued working, like we always do, but just with a different person, with Aldo. And Aldo's great. He's a great guy. He's a great guitar player himself, and has really good ears, which is very important. And it worked out, thank God. Now, there are situations where it doesn't always work out, and then you have a problem, and that can create issues. But I think everybody's smart enough to know, and we've been doing this long enough to know, if it's not going to work or not. And this worked great. It worked great. So there's no regrets whatsoever. I think if you A/B both albums, there are differences, but in a good way. That's okay. That's a good thing. That's what happens when you work with a different producer as a band from time to time. I still co-produced with Aldo, so I was able to set up the meat and potatoes of the album the same way as the first. So it's got this similar guitar tone and layout and all that good stuff. So
Okay, so Aldo, what's his full name? Because I was referring to keyboard player and the press
oh, you're
release.
referring to the keyboard player. Okay.
Yeah, because the press release stated that Antonio Agate from Timo Tokis Avalon laid down the keyboard.
Yeah, let me look right here. I've got let's see here. Let me see. La la la. I may not even have it. I may not have it in my phone in my contacts. Uh, but anyway, I'm trying. I don't want to mess you up in terms of our interview. Let's see here. Aldo. His name is pronounced. That's the problem I have is the pronunciation. It's spelled Lonobile.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's pronounced Lonobile or Lonobile but that's Aldo, and he's
Okay,
he's the.
so we were referring to the two different persons. So Aldo was the producer, but Antonio laid down the keyboards.
That must be the case, and I'll be honest with you, Antonio. I wasn't involved really in the keyboard tracking. I wasn't there for it. I wasn't really that involved. So I don't know a lot about that, but I know a lot about everything else.
Okay, I lost the video. So can you switch back to the video?
Say, oh, yep. I'm not on
Yeah,
video. You're not getting me.
yeah. I'm not getting the video.
Okay,
Okay, okay.
sorry.
And the other musician is Marco Pastorino from Temperance, and he's responsible for backing vocals. So why was it your idea to choose him, or was it Frontiers?
That was a decision that Aldo, I would assume Aldo made with probably Nathan. Um, I definitely had. I specifically said this time around. I did a couple of vocals on the last album, kind of as a duet with Nathan, and I said very politely to the label, I said, "Guys, really, you've got Nathan as a vocalist. He's a great vocalist. I mean, just have him sing everything, and I'll just play guitar." And I played more guitar on this album than I did on the first album. First album, I only did a couple of solos. This time around, the solos are split up pretty much 50-50.
Yeah, we even have like a solo duel in one of the songs.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, again, we weren't together in the same room when we did that, but it worked out. We had everything mapped out on who's playing what and where, and and you can make it believable. Because I mean, ultimately, the goal is to make it sound like it's a band creating music together. That's an important thing, I think.
And why did you choose "Cry No More" as the first single, as this track as the to announce the Iconic's return to the musical world?
Well, I mean, look at choosing the first single is always tough. It's not easy. And we just went through this with Striper, the new Striper album. It was very hard to choose the first single. And the reason why, speaking from my perspective regarding the Striper album, it was hard because we love every song. And we sent it to the label and they loved every song. We had a list of like 8 songs. So what do we go with? It's like, well, so it's the same thing with Iconic. There's so many good songs. It's very difficult to figure out which one to go out of the box with. But I think Cry No More was a great example of the band and just a really good first impression because it wasn't so over the top or fast paced or it's just a very straight ahead, in your face song. And I think that's important. And that represents the band very well, for sure.
And why the second single, "Tears Keep on Falling"? Because it's a very different song. You wanted to show people that it's gonna be a very diverse album.
Exactly. Personally, I think that's very important to do. I like that. And if you know the history also of Striper, I don't mean to keep bringing up Striper, but we've got a new album coming out as well. Our second single is very different from the first single. I think that's important because what can happen, in my opinion, is it become redundant and almost repetitive and maybe even borderline stale. And I feel the same way about Iconic. I think it's important to have songs, singles, as you release them that are very different from one another. So that there you go. That's why.
And my favorite track from the Iconic's second album is "Open My Eyes." So what can you tell me about this song?
Well, I've got a question for you. Why is that your favorite? What do you like about that?
I really love the chorus of this song. It stuck into your head even after one listening, and it just you can't.
That's interesting. Interesting that you say that because I was going to say the very same thing, but in different words. For me, as a writer and a producer and a musician, it always starts with the song. If you don't have a good song and a song that is memorable and that, as you put it, gets stuck in your head, earworms is what I call them, because you can't get it out of your ears, your head. Uh, you're kind of spinning your wheels. It's very difficult to get people on board unless they hear something that's going to, gain their attention and retain their attention. And they're going to recall that and remember it and be singing it the next day and the next week and the next month. So this is why. This is exactly why. It's a great melody and it's very memorable and very catchy. And that's something I think that's missing in music nowadays. You don't hear that as often as at least I would like to hear it. In the past, you heard it a lot. Great songs with great melodies that really stuck in your head.
And Joel, Marco, and Tommy had the chance to meet up and play a Whitesnake tribute show. Is it possible to get the entire Iconic lineup together to play a concert, maybe, or a few shows?
Well, I tell you, that would be amazing. I mean, I would love that. And I would be the first guy to want to jump on a plane and do it. But again, as I said earlier, the tricky part is aligning everyone's schedules so we can do that. Because Joel's super busy. Marco's out right now with Satriani. and doing that thing. We got Tommy. I don't know if Tommy's out on the road right now, but he's always super busy. Nathan's super busy. I'm really busy. I mean, we're all so busy. It's hard to make all the stars align so we can go and do something like that. But we will work on it, and hopefully, we'll be able to make it happen.
And what about Striper in Poland? Because I had the chance to see Striper live, but it was in during Sweden Rock Festival. Will you visit Poland like soon or?
I sure hope so. Oh my gosh, I know that we're touring this year a lot in the U.S. and we're doing a few other dates internationally. There's no European tour booked as of yet, but we're working on it. And definitely, before I leave this earth, we have to come back to Poland for sure.
And in a relatively short period of time, we received Striper's long-awaited Christmas album, your long-awaited new solo album. Now we have a long-awaited new album from Iconic. We're gonna have new album from Striper. So did your health problems motivated you to work, showing that there's no point in putting certain things off until later, or maybe it was quite opposite? Did you force to put aside some projects you've already started to focus on your health?
Well, my health at the moment is that of I'm being checked. I'm going to be checked at the end of this month in June, and they're calling it active surveillance. They're just going to keep an eye on it. I have cancer in this side, and my thyroid at some point may be removed. I don't know, or it may not. If it stays at such a small growth, and time allows me to continue on without anything changing, then that's great. But that being said, there's still the subconscious mentality of I want to do as much as I can while I can. So I even mentioned to the label the idea of going in Striper, going in and recording 3 albums at once. And they looked at me and they thought about it. And I said, because while I can sing and while Oz is healthy and while we can do it, let's go do it. Let's bang out 3 instead of 1. And they thought about it and they thought, oh, wow, that's a great idea. That's a really great idea. So this is my mentality. Like, just do as much as you can, as long as you don't compromise the quality, do it. Because someday you won't be able to.
And unfortunately, Tommy DeCarlo, with whom you formed a vocal duo in Boston, lost his battle to cancer this year. And you've wrote on your Facebook page about travels together, shopping trips, sneaking away to grab a steak. So, what is your favorite or funniest memory of him?
Oh, man. And this is what I'm talking about. Do it while you can. I mean, so things happen that we just don't see coming. And nobody knows if we'll be able to face tomorrow. We don't know. And Tommy, what a wonderful guy. We became dear friends during that tour. We did a lot together. We laughed a lot. We hung out a lot. And we had each other's back on that tour. And I sang half of the material. He sang half of the material. And we would look at each other and laugh on stage and share a lot of really great moments together. And we got a chance of a lifetime to perform with one of the most, no pun intended, iconic bands in the history of rock. And we were able to share that together. So I'll never forget it. I'll never forget Tommy, and God rest his soul. And I believe he's in a better place, and I miss him. And I think I'll see him again someday.
And since you have another interview scheduled at 9 p.m., so let's stop here, and maybe we will have a chance to focus on the other interview with Striper when we will have the some more information about the new album. Or
For
maybe you
sure.
can, or maybe
Yeah.
you can say something about the new material where you're heading this way with this album.
Well, I tell you what, the album's coming out in September. And the next song, single, music video, we shot at a castle in Milan. Italy. That's coming out this month, at the end of this month, and it's great. I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. Uh, it's a really cool video and a really great song, and we're super excited. So there's a lot more to come regarding Striper, and that's obviously the band that I started in and started with, and I'm super excited about the future and very proud, humbly, of course, to say that we're still doing it. It's very cool.
And again, this is all I have prepared. So thank you very much for your time. Have a good evening. Have a great interviews. And
Okay, brother.
maybe we'll talk with about Striper in a month or two.
We'll make that happen. And God bless you. You have a great day. And thank you for taking the time to talk to me. Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay, my friend. Here. Bye bye.